Today was the last day to register for the May primary. There's several big state races on the ballot, including the race for governor. 8 men are in the race for Republicans and for Democrats. Among the Democrats are Attorney General Andy Beshear, House Minority Floor Leader Rocky Adkins, former State Auditor Adam Edelin, and Jeff Young.
You know, I'm a moderate, middle-of-the-road, common-sense candidate in this race.
In this environment, people are so hungry for something new and different. I think we're the campaign that is the most new, is the most different.
On the Republican side, Governor Matt Bevin is facing a challenge from State Representative Robert Goforth, William Woods, and Ike Lawrence. From overcoming addiction to getting people jobs and helping them love themselves, Addiction Recovery Care's facilities in Louisa help people from all over the country. WYMT's Macy Marie sat down with a woman who says she owes her life to the treatment she got here in the mountains.
A journey that started nearly 2 years ago.
I've overdosed 9 times and I never had a second chance to life, and they took me from crisis to career.
Pam Camacho says she spent years in and out of jail.
Started living in the streets at age 13.
That same year, she got high for the first time.
I was just numb completely. I didn't know what life was. I thought the streets were life.
After a 10-year stay in jail, she overdosed twice. Pam's doctor suggested she leave Illinois.
I got on the Greyhound bus station with 1 suitcase. I left everything and I came out here.
With little luggage and even less hope, she came to Karen's Place, a rehab center in Louisa that is part of Addiction Recovery Care, also known as ARC.
With ARC, they guide you. Being able to realize that there was other recovering addicts and I wasn't alone during this process, and they just gave me hope.
Pam went through faith-based counseling, therapy, and medical treatment.
You take a shot once a month, and it just blocks all your cravings. I started being able to concentrate. I was able to comprehend things.
She began healing and was able to reconnect with her children.
I started losing my kids because of my addiction, and I didn't want to be selfish because I knew I couldn't take care of my children.
Now Pam takes care of not only herself, but helps counsel pregnant women who are addicted.
I want to show people that there's hope out there, that you can overcome addiction.
Pam now talks to family she had lost contact with years ago, has a job she loves, and got married in February, with the doctor who sent her to ARC walking her down the aisle.
I was considered a junkie. I was going to probably die being a junkie the rest of my life. I was nothing. I was never going to amount to be nothing. But when I came out here, it changed my whole life.
Hoping her story inspires those suffering.
I know I have a purpose.
In Lawrence County, Macy Marie, WYMT Mountain News.
Pam says she used the treatment Vivitrol to help curb her cravings. She encourages other addicts to pick up the phone and ask someone for help. Day 1 of the Prescription Drug Addiction and Heroin Summit wrapped up today in Atlanta, but not before a handful of events took place. WYMT's Will Puckett has more.
2019 marks the 8th Prescription Drug Abuse and Heroin Summit. This year's summit, the heat has been turned up a little bit after a several state opioid task force bust. For Congressman Hal Rogers, this has been a project long in the making.
They keep getting bigger and bigger. We're sold out. We'll have around 4,000 people from all states, several countries.
This year's summit comes on the heels of a massive multi-state opioid bust just last week.
There are a lot of people who need to be held accountable for their actions. There are a lot of people who are hurting our communities.
Congressman Rogers believes the bust set up the summit's topic perfectly.
Yes, that was ironic that took place just before this summit.
But for Unite President and CEO Nancy Hale, this summit is a perfect opportunity to flip the narrative and get people thinking of how to stop the rising numbers.
I think that's what people see here at the summit. They're here for a purpose, whether it's law enforcement professional, whether it's a personal reason. They're here to find a solution and to be a part of the solution.
Tuesday and Wednesday from dusk until dawn are many sessions that we will cover over the next several days. All of it is building up to Wednesday's speech by President Trump. It'll be the third year in a row that a sitting or former U.S. president has spoke at the summit. In Atlanta, Will Puckett, WYMT, Mountain News.
Last month, while in Nashville covering the SEC tournament, Amber Philpott was given the opportunity to sit down with Erin Calipari, Coach John Calipari's oldest daughter. She may have a recognizable last name, but she is making her own mark in the world of science and holding her own court at Vanderbilt with her research on drug addiction and the brain.
Having a father like John Calipari, who has always been in the coaching spotlight, it should come as no surprise his daughter, Dr. Erin Calipari, has learned a lot from the game and her dad. Her sport now isn't basketball, but rather science, where she's the head coach and her court is this lab.
Sports are very similar, right? You have a team of people working together to get for a common goal.
Inside the Vanderbilt Center for Addiction Research, you'll find Calipari leading her team of scientists and researchers. The game plan here in the lab that bears her name isn't about winning, but rather understanding the brain and how it works.
So our question is really, how does experience with drugs or drug exposure change the way that animals use information to kind of guide decision making?
With the opioid crisis at an all-time high, Calipari's research at the very basic level looks to find why people become addicted and looks to underscore it as a disease.
It's kind of multifaceted, right? We want to understand the brain so we can try to improve treatment outcomes and also, communicate with the public so they understand kind of where this disorder is coming from and what factors really underlie vulnerability.
The assistant professor in the Department of Pharmacology at Vanderbilt didn't start out in drug addiction research at first.
And I actually started as an endocrinologist, so I was really excited about hormonal function and hormonal regulation of behavior. And then I ended up in a lab that was doing drug addiction work, and I realized that it kind of merged my interests with a major public health problem that was really underfunded and understudied.
Her focus is now on women and addiction and how hormonal changes can make them more prone to getting hooked on drugs.
Women transition to addiction faster, they take more drug, they have more problems with abstinence, they're more likely to relapse. And so what we're really trying to understand is why that happens. What factors make women or females particularly vulnerable to the addictive properties of drugs?
Calipari says science has always clicked for when other subjects didn't. Away from the lab, she is quite outspoken in the social media world, especially when it comes to her dad and UK basketball.
Yeah, see, in the last 10 seconds, I've gotten 8 notifications.
She admits having the Calipari name and social media gives her an outlet to expose others to science.
And so this gives me a platform to kind of communicate who I am to people, but also communicate to the public in a way that lets me really bring attention to this really important disease and in a way that I wouldn't be able to otherwise.
Her last name may be synonymous in Kentucky for basketball, but it's the name Erin Calipari is making for herself here at Vandy with the work she's doing that might be the real game changer when it comes to beating addiction.
Again, that was Amber Philpott reporting. Calipari got her undergrad at UMass, her PhD at Wake Forest, and then did her postdoctoral training at Icahn School of Medicine at Mount Sinai. Fun fact, she did play basketball in college, but admits she was not very good. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back with a look at your forecast.